How's it going, everybody? Daner here with North Central Coins, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the most rare and valuable coins in Canada. Today we're going to be counting down the 10 most valuable new Canadian quarters that you have a good chance of finding in your pocket change, and if identified correctly, can make you some serious money. Every single one of the quarters that we discussed today was produced in the last few decades and could very well be sitting in your change jar right now. In this video, we will explore each of these modern pieces of currency and delve into why they hold such incredible value in Canadian numismatics. Additionally, we will discuss any distinguishing features, their significance among collectors, and also the potential value if you're ever to find a legitimate example. Before I do get into this, I would really appreciate if you would smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also ring that bell notification so you can follow along with my new content as it is being released. And then without any further ado, what do you say we get right into it and break down my picks for the 10 most valuable new Canadian quarters? Let's get it, guys. So before we do get into the value and specifications for the 1991 quarter, I thought I would go over some of the story of how a coin with such a limited mintage can actually come into existence. Coin mintage refers to the quantity of a specific coin design produced by a mint during a particular year or time period. It is a fundamental aspect of a coin's history and production. The rarity of coins is usually measured on how scarce or uncommon they are in relativity to its total mintage. Coins with lower mintages are generally considered more rare because there are fewer of them available to collectors or the public. Several factors contribute to the rarity of a coin, including mintage numbers. Coins with low mintage numbers are inherently rare. When fewer coins are minted, there are fewer available to collectors to acquire. Survival rate. The number of coins that have survived over time also affects rarity. Coins that were well preserved or saved by collectors are more likely to be available today. Melting and withdrawal. Changes in composition or economic factors like the alloy recycling program can lead to the withdrawal and melting of coins. This reduces the number of surviving specimens and increases the rarity of some dates. Coins that have garnered significant collector interest tend to be less common in the market due to collectors acquiring and holding on to them. Rarity is a critical factor in determining the value of a coin. Generally, rarer coins command higher prices in the numismatic market. Collectors and investors are often willing to pay a premium for coins that are difficult to obtain due to their limited availability. The condition or grade of a rare coin can also significantly impact its value. Coins in excellent condition are more desirable to collectors and can fetch higher prices. Usually coins with low mintage figures will also hold some historical significance. They may mark a special period, event, or a change in coinage history. This historical context adds to their appeal and value. Numismatists value coins that provide insights into the past, and low mintage coins often do just that. Collector preferences can drive demand for specific coins. Coins that are part of a series or set have unique designs or represent specific milestones and are highly sought after. Collector demand can create competition and influence prices, particularly for rare and desirable coins. Market trends, including auction results and changing collector tastes, can impact the value of coins. Prices for some key dates may fluctuate based on market dynamics and also demand from buyers. Another major factor that could have led to the creation of the Canadian 1991 quarter is labor disputes and strikes. Labor disputes, strikes, or work stoppages at a mint can disrupt normal coin production operations. Mint employees, including coin press operators, engravers, and other key personnel, may participate in strikes to demand better working conditions, higher wages, or other labor-related issues. Strikes often lead to production delays, as mint facilities may operate at reduced capacity or cease production altogether during this strike period. This can result in a backlog of coins that need to be minted once the strike is resolved. A strike can directly impact the mintage numbers for a given year or denomination. If the work strike occurs during the planned production window for a particular coin, the mint might not actually be able to produce as many coins were as originally intended. This can lead to a lower mintage for the affected coin. Strikes may also affect the quality of coins produced during and immediately following the strike period. Mint employees returning to work after a strike may need some time to ensure that the coin presses and equipment are operating smoothly, potentially impacting the quality of the struck coins. In the case of the 1991 Canadian quarter, if there was indeed a strike at the Canadian Mint during that year, it could have contributed to the lower mintage of quarters for that specific date. The disruption in production and potential quality control issues may have led to a scarcity of well-struck uncirculated specimens, further enhancing the coin's rarity and desirability. Now, some of the reasons that the 1991 Canadian quarters are considered so rare compared to their counterparts in the similar date ranges. In 1991, the Canadian Mint produced a significantly lower number of these quarters compared to other years. This limited mintage is a key factor in the coin's rarity. The exact reasons for this low mintage are not always publicly disclosed by mints, but there are a few potential explanations. Economic factors. Economic conditions can influence a mint's decision to reduce coin production. In times of economic uncertainty or budget constraints, mints may reduce the production of certain denominations, including quarters, to save on costs. So, foreseeing the production of the 1992 Provincial series, they may have actually reduced the size of the production run for 1991 quarters. I don't think they intended to reduce it that small, but that would definitely be a good reason right there. Supply and demand. If there was a surplus of quarters from previous years in circulation and a reduced demand for new quarters, the mint may have decided to produce fewer coins to avoid an oversupply. While the reverse design of the 1991 quarter was not unique or commemorative, it's possible that the Canadian Mint still opted for a lower mintage that year based on their production plans and priorities. Over time, the low mintage of the 1991 quarter gained the attention of coin collectors and numismatists worldwide. The combination of a low mintage figure and the regular design led to increased demand among collectors, further driving up its rarity and value in the secondary market. Many of the 1991 quarters that were minted entered circulation where they endured wear and tear. As a result, finding well-preserved uncirculated specimens from that year became increasingly challenging, contributing to their rarity. So what do you say we go over some of the specifications and give you guys the potential values if you did ever discover one of these in your pocket change or coin roll hunting? So the Canadian 1991 quarter has a mintage figure of 459,000. It is composed of 100% nickel. It has a weight of 5.05 grams, a diameter of 23.88 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.58 millimeters. The coin was designed and engraved by Dorota Pedri Hunt and Ago Aran for the obverse and Emmanuel Hahn for the reverse. The edge is rated, it is magnetic, and it comes in metal alignment as is the standard for most Canadian coins. Now, one of the greatest things about this 1991 quarter is that it is a coin that retains a premium even on the low end. If you find one of these and it's all beat up and been put through the meat grinder and it's at the very bottom of the Sheldon grading scale, you can still get some decent money for it, around $5 to $10, which is a decent profit considering that you only invested 25 cents to find the coin. But when you start to get into the MS region, you start to see some pretty big price jumps. It can be worth around $10 for an MS60, around $20 for an MS64, and all the way up to $120 for an MS66. And this is a coin that's value is only going to go up over time. It doesn't just have one of the lowest mintage figures of any Canadian coin in the last 50 years, but any coin produced in North America, probably within the last 150 years. This is an incredibly rare coin, but it is one that is fairly modern and they are still floating out there. I've known several Canadian coin roll hunters that have found even a few of these in their coin roll hunts, and I know that you can find them in your pocket change too. So it is definitely a good one to keep your eyes out for, and I only see the value going up on these bad boys as time goes on. In April of 1998, the Canadian Mint initiated the Millennium Coin Design Contest, inviting Canadians from all walks of life to contribute their creative visions to a set of 24 commemorative quarters symbolizing each month for the years 1999 and 2000. This ambitious contest aimed to encapsulate Canada's rich heritage and aspirations for the future through numismatic artistry. The designs for the 1999 quarters were intended to reflect upon the nation's past, while those for the year 2000 were oriented towards envisioning its future. Notably, the 1999 coins were inscribed with their retrospective month of issue, whereas the 2000 coins bore thematic labels representative of their themes. To culminate the turn of the millennium, the Canadian Mint issued this distinctive series of 12 commemorative 25-cent coins for circulation, additionally releasing them in different sets, some struck with a frosted cameo proof and sterling silver. These coins were encased within an elegant oval display case, and each coin in this special set embodies a significant aspect of Canada's illustrious history. The 1999 Millennium Quarter series unfolds a narrative of Canada's diverse cultural tapestry and storied past through 12 evocative designs. From A Country unfolds in January to This Is Canada in December, each month's quarter portrays a distinctive facet of the nation's identity. These coins serve not only as numismatic treasures, but also as reminders of the collective experiences and aspirations that define the Canadian spirit. At some point during the inception of production for the 1999 September 25-cent coins, an unanticipated twist emerged, and that was the utilization of the obverse die that was designated for the regular Caribou 25-cent coins. This departure from the norm instigated the creation of a series of rare mule coins that would captivate collectors and enthusiasts alike. Amidst the creation process, a select number of these unconventional coins that are dubbed mules found their way into circulation. However, the primary destination for these mule coins was within uncirculated coin sets. It is speculated that certain mule coins might have ventured beyond the confines of these sets, potentially entering the hands of unsuspecting members of the public. This dispersion only adds to the intrigue surrounding these rare and elusive coins. Now, there were a few different sets released in 1999 to commemorate this Millennium series of quarters. There was one released in sterling silver, and then there was one released in just a base cardboard holder, and the coins are not anything special. They're basically just considered brilliant uncirculated, and there is really no way to tell them apart from their standard circulation counterparts. Now, for anyone seeking to discern whether they possess one of these rare mule coins, there exists telltale signs that set them apart. The most notable clue is that these mule coins do not feature the usual 25 cents written on the obverse of the Millennium series coins. Now, if you are to find one of these mule coins, your best chances is going to be to pull it from one of the sets issued in the same year. After the year 1977, Canadian numismatists refer to coins pulled out of these sets as NBU, or newly brilliant uncirculated specimens. NBU simply means that the coins were freshly minted and handled with extra care and then placed into these sets, which preserves their pristine condition straight from the mint, but there is nothing that sets them apart from the standard circulation counterparts. But it would seem when it comes to a lot of these holy grail mule coins that your best chances of finding them is to pull them out of the sets. And in the case of the 1999 Millennium sets, you want to look for the oval cardboard set that contains the Millennium series quarters. Now, just because these coins typically originate from mint sets doesn't mean that you can't ever stumble upon one in the wild. There is a small possibility that you could find one of these rare mules mixed in with standard business strikes. Now, how does that happen? Well, mint sets are often opened by collectors eager to examine their contents. Also, sometimes when coin collectors are strapped for cash, they will take their less valuable sets and crack them open and cash them in for face value. And one thing that I can personally attest, which is pretty sad, is I got the 1999 and 2000 Millennium sets when I was a kid. I was only 9 and 10 years old when these sets were released, and at some point when I was 14 or 15 years old, I cashed them in probably to buy some sandwiches or food from the corner store. Now, you would be amazed at the crazy NIFC coins that you can find if you are coin roll hunting, or if you search your pocket change. I have found some that have mintage figures as low as $20,000 and can be worth up to $150. And of all the different coin sets released by the Canadian Mint in the last 100 some odd years, this one has probably been cracked open and spent for their face value the most of just about any other coin series. Now, in terms of this coin's value, I do have some price estimates for you guys, and it is much more valuable than the regular issue 1999 September Millennium series quarter. If you were to find a regular issue 1999 September series Millennium quarter, the most that you could get for it is $25 for an NBU 67. If it scored any higher, you might be able to get a little bit more, maybe $50 to $100 if somebody really wants the coin. Now, the September Mule is another Canadian coin that is extremely rare. There's probably only 100 to 1,000 examples of this coin that exist, and its value does not necessarily represent its rarity. If you were able to find one of these in the wild, it would definitely be a pretty profitable find. Now the price estimates kick in at NBU 64 for $129, and if you were able to find one of these out of a roll or a proof set and it is in pristine condition, it can be worth around $300 for an NBU 67. So if it scored any higher, you could easily be talking a $1,000 coin. And this is another extremely rare Canadian coin that I believe has some pretty low price estimates, and the potential for its value to increase will only go up as more awareness is drawn to it. The Canadian 2009 Olympic Quarter Series is a set of commemorative quarters issued by the Royal Canadian Mint to celebrate the Vancouver 2010 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Here's a brief breakdown of the series. The series consists of 17 different designs, each representing a different Olympic sport or Paralympic event. The designs showcase various winter sports such as skiing, snowboarding, hockey, curling, and more. The quarters were released in stages throughout the late 2000s leading up to the Winter Games in 2010. Each design was released individually in limited quantities, adding to their collectability. The mintage for each of the designs varied, with some being more abundant than others. However, overall, the series generated significant interest among collectors due to its unique theme and the limited availability of some of the pieces in the series. Some of the quarters featured colorized elements to enhance the design and highlight specific details of the sports depicted, such as the men's hockey, women's hockey, and Cindy Klassen quarters. These colored versions have a mintage of 3 million each, making them relatively rare by numismatic standards and highly sought after by collectors. Alongside the Olympic-themed quarters, the series also featured designs commemorating the Paralympic Games. These Paralympic quarters celebrate the achievements of para-athletes and highlight the diversity of the winter sports showcased during the Paralympic Winter Games. The inclusion of both Olympic and Paralympic themes in the series adds depth and inclusivity to the overall collection, reflecting Canada's commitment to promoting equality and diversity in sports. The 2007 Alpine Skiing Painted Leaf 25-cent mule coin presents an intriguing case in the world of numismatics. This particular mule variety can only be found within special cards issued by Petro-Canada in a number of collector sets. What sets this coin apart is the unconventional use of the 2008 obverse die instead of the proper 2007 die, resulting in the striking of approximately 40,000 coins with the wrong date of 2008 instead of the intended 2007. Interestingly, despite fitting the definition of a mule coin due to the mismatched dies, a peculiar circumstance arises with this particular variety. While the 2008 dated coins technically qualify as mules, the rarity of the correct 2007 dated coins poses an intriguing conundrum. With only around 900 coins bearing the correct 2007 date compared to the significant larger quantity of mule coins produced, one would expect the mule coins to be less valuable than their correctly dated counterparts. Now, to determine whether your coin is a mule or the regular issue, it is pretty simple. You just need to inspect the obverse side. The normal version will display the date 2007, while the mule variety will show the date 2008. This subtle difference distinguishes between the two varieties and adds a level of allure to collecting these unique pieces. When considering the value of the 2007 Alpine Skiing Painted Leaf 25-cent mule coin, several factors come into play. Despite the larger quantity of mule coins that were produced, the scarcity of the correct 2007 dated coins adds a layer of complexity to their valuation. Collectors often place greater value on coins with a lower mintage figure, such as the correct 2007 dated coins, due to their rarity and desirability. However, the novelty and curiosity surrounding these mule coins can also attract interest from collectors that seek unique and unusual pieces for their collections. So this one really comes down to preference, but it would seem that the more desirable of the two is the mule coin, and chances are if you buy one of these, you are probably going to get the mule. But if you get the regular issue 2007 dated colored Alpine Skiing quarter, then you have yourself a coin with a mintage figure of 900 or less. So it's pretty much a win-win scenario either way, whether you are seeking a coin with a very low mintage figure or you are seeking a rare variety to add to your collection. While the mule variety of the 2007 Alpine Skiing Painted Leaf 25-cent coin may seem quite abundant compared to its correct dated counterpart, Its value is influenced by several factors, including the rarity of coins, demand from collectors, and also the circumstances of its acquisition, meaning how you actually find the coin. Collectors intrigued by the novelty of mule coins and those seeking to complete their collections with rare varieties may find these coins to be valuable additions, despite the unexpected dynamics surrounding their production and availability. Now, one of these sealed sets typically commands a price of $15 to $30. Now, for this price, you are paying for a single coin, as the colored quarter is the only coin that you receive in this set, and also any accompanying packaging or documentation that they include. So you want to pay as little as possible if you aren't able to actually inspect the set and get a look at the sealed quarter inside the packaging, as anything extra you do pay will be a loss of profit unless you can identify the mule variety and it is also in impeccable condition. Now, if you were able to find and identify the mule in this set, I would suggest leaving it in the set and making sure that it is stored in a safe spot where it can't be affected by light, dust, or any environmental hazards. If you were to find one of these coins outside of the set, or if you are brave enough to crack open the package, you could send it off to be graded at PCGS or ICCS, but you definitely want to make sure that the company you are sending it to will give it the proper attribution you are looking for, but I am pretty sure all the companies will designate mule coins. Now, in terms of this quarter's value, a high-grade example of this mule coin, such as a PL65, which is a proof-like 65 specimen, can significantly increase in value, with an estimated worth of around $50 for a PL65 example. Although this is a recognized variety, not a lot of people know about it, and it currently is flying under the radar a little bit, and I believe some of these estimations on Canadian coins are a little low currently, and as they become more popular and as I make more videos, I'm sure the popularity and values will only increase. So, $50 for a PL65. Now, there is also the grading cost to consider. You're going to be paying anywhere from $15 to $40 to get your coin graded, depending on where you send it and where you live. So you have to make sure that the condition of the coin validates the potential value when you pay for the sealed set, and then also for the grading fee after that. If you buy the coin set and then send the coin to be graded all for under $50, then you will most likely make a profit on this coin. But anything you go over that line, it will eat into the potential money that you can make if and when you want to sell the coin. Now, if the mule coin scores higher than a PL65, its value could substantially escalate. In some cases where the coin exhibits exceptional quality, it's not uncommon for its value to soar to the range of $300 to $500 or even higher. Coins graded higher than PL65 are considered exceptional specimens and are highly sought after by serious collectors willing to pay a premium for top quality examples. Overall, the potential value of the 2007 Alpine Skiing Painted Leaf 25-cent mule coin hinges on several factors, including its condition, the grade, and market trends. Collectors interested in acquiring these mule coins should consider these factors when assessing their potential value and investment prospects in the numismatic market. The 2000 Millennium quarter sets introduced a fascinating addition to Canadian numismatics. They featured a non-legal tender token alongside the traditional coinage. This token boasts a striking design, showcasing a stylized map of Canada on the obverse side, with the reverse side proudly displaying the year 2000 amidst a field adorned with Royal Canadian Mint logos. The inclusion of this unique token adds an extra layer of significance to the commemorative sets and captivates the interests of collectors and enthusiasts alike. During the production of this token, a noteworthy anomaly emerged. The obverse die used for the token that was originally intended for the February 25-cent coin. This unforeseen occurrence led to the creation of a non-legal tender token featuring a denomination but lacking a corresponding date. This particular circumstance adds a layer of intrigue to these tokens, elevating their collectability and value among numismatists and those who seek rare and unusual pieces. For anyone wishing to identify whether their token is this rare mule, there are key indicators to look out for. The obverse of the mule token will bear the inscription 25 cents along with the effigy of Queen Elizabeth. This distinct combination sets the mule apart from the standard tokens, making it highly sought after. The discovery of these mules adds an element of excitement to the hobby and prompts enthusiasts to meticulously examine their collections in search of these elusive treasures. The allure of this mule token lies in its unique characteristics. They serve as a tangible reminder of the intricacies of coin production, showcasing the occasional deviations from the norm that can result in highly prized collectibles. For any avid collector or coin roll hunter, uncovering one of these mules would add a thrilling chapter to their numismatic journey. The value of the non-mule version of the 2000 Millennium quarter set token typically ranges from $3 to $10 when found individually outside of the complete set. However, the discovery of one of these mules, whether obtained through your pocket change coin roll hunting or included in one of these sets, could dramatically alter its worth. Due to the rarity and intrigue surrounding such anomalies in coin production, a mule coin can fetch a significantly higher premium, often reaching up to 10 times the value of the regular issue, depending on various factors such as its condition and the demand from collectors. When assessing the value of a mule coin, its condition plays a crucial role. Coins in pristine condition with minimal wear and damage tend to command much higher prices, as they are more desirable to collectors seeking quality specimens for their collections. Coins with noticeable flaws or signs of wear may fetch lower prices, although the rarity of the mule variety still contributes to its overall value. Another big factor that can influence the value of these coins is demand from collectors. Numismatists are often drawn to coins with unique characteristics or historical significance, such as mule coins, which result from production errors. The scarcity of these mule coins is what adds to their appeal, as collectors are willing to pay a premium to acquire these elusive pieces and add them to their collections. Now, the method of acquisition can also affect the perceived value of a mule coin. Coins discovered through chance encounters, such as finding them in your pocket change or while coin roll hunting, may hold sentimental value for the finder and could potentially command higher prices due to the excitement of the discovery. On the other hand, coins obtained through purchase, especially from reputable dealers or auctions, may be subject to market pricing based on factors such as its condition and also the demand. But this is a rare mule that most people do not know about, and it is sure to see an increase in value as time goes on and more people become aware of it. The value of a mule coin from the 2000 Millennium quarter set can vary greatly depending on its condition and the circumstances of its acquisition. While the non-mule version of this coin may have a modest value, the discovery of one of these mules can significantly increase its worth, with prices potentially reaching up to $100 to $500 for a high-grade specimen. Now, there is not a set price or value currently for this coin, so it is pretty much a case of it is worth whatever you can get somebody to pay for it. But if I ever found one of these in my pocket change or coin roll hunting, even if it wasn't in the greatest shape, I still wouldn't let it go for any less than $50. So once again, to be able to identify this coin, you want to look in the 2000 Millennium quarter set, and the obverse of the coin should feature the typical stylized map of Canada, while the reverse should actually have Queen Elizabeth and the denomination of 25 cents. So technically there will be two obverses on this coin. Canadian coin errors encompass a fascinating range of anomalies that arise during the minting process, influenced by factors like coin dies, planchette quality, striking pressure, and also mechanical issues. These errors can come in all shapes and sizes in various forms, altering the appearance of the coins. Now let's briefly go over some of the different errors and how they can affect the value of the coins. First, there are die errors. These errors originate from issues related to the coin dies themselves, and they can include double dies. This happens when the die is engraved with multiple impressions of the design. It can result in doubled or overlapping features on the coin. Strongly double-dyed coins, especially if well preserved, are highly sought after by collectors and can command significant premiums. There are also die cracks and clashes. Damage to the dies from overuse or time can lead to distinctive patterns on the coin, such as cracks or clashes. While not generally considered as valuable as double dies, coins with prominent die cracks or clashes can still be desirable to collectors. Planchette errors. These errors stem from imperfections in the coin's blank metal disc or planchette, and these can include off-center strikes, and this happens when the coin is struck off-center where the design is misaligned. This can increase a coin's value depending on the visibility and impact on the design. There are also clipped planchettes. This happens when a portion of the planchette is missing. It results in planchette clips, which can also enhance a coin's value. There are several other planchette flaws like laminations or other flaws in the planchette that can affect the coin's appearance and potentially make it more valuable. Striking errors. These occur during the coin press operation process and can include off-center strikes. These are coins with improper centering due to striking errors, and they can become collectible if the error results in a visually appealing and unique design. Overstrikes. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times with different dies. It can create interesting variations and increase its numismatic value. And then last but not least are mechanical errors. Now, mechanical issues within the coin press can lead to errors like machine doubling, where the design appears flattened or doubled due to die movement during the strike. Machine doubling errors are more common and generally have lower value compared to other rarer error types. And then there are rotated die errors, which are the errors that you are looking for on these Canadian provincial quarters. Now, rotated die errors on Canadian coins are intriguing anomalies that occur when one of the two coin dies is misaligned or becomes loose during the minting process, resulting in a rotation of the design. These errors can be classified into two main categories: stable rotation and dynamic rotation. Stable rotation. In stable rotation errors, one of the dies is misaligned during installation, leading to consistent rotation in multiple coins produced from the same die pair. This type of error is characterized by a fixed degree of rotation and can be exemplified by certain coin examples, such as a piece that is meant to be struck in metal alignment, but when you are looking for the rotated die variety, it always comes in coin alignment or with a fixed degree or axis. And then there is dynamic rotation. Dynamic rotation errors occur when one of the dies becomes loose during the striking process and rotates on its axis. These errors result in varying degrees of rotation and can be found on a wide range of Canadian coins, including those from the pivotal year 1967. Now, how do you calculate the rotation degree of your coin? To determine the rotation degree of a coin, you need to measure the extent to which the one side of the coin has rotated in relation to the other side. Now, the easiest and most tried and true method I can suggest for checking if your coins are off axis or are rotated is to put it in a coin flip, look at the one side, and then flip your coin over. And then if it is off axis, then you have yourself one of these rotated dies. Coins with a rotation degree below 15% are generally not valued much higher than their regular counterparts unless it is in a very high mint state. The coin's year of issue can also influence its desirability among collectors. Coins with more notable dates like the Provincial series that we're discussing today, and also the 1999 and Millennium quarters can have rotated dies that are notable, and those are known to be very valuable. If you do find a rotated die on, let's say, a 1980s nickel or quarter, it might not be as valuable as if it occurs on one of the coins like the ones we're discussing on this list. Now, what do you say we get into some of the details and specifications and also values for the coins that you guys are here to find out about, and those are the 1992 provincial quarters with rotated die axis. So first of all, we will discuss the 1992 New Brunswick. The specifications for the 1992 New Brunswick standard circulation strike: it is composed of 100% nickel. It has a weight of 5.05 grams, a diameter of 23.88 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.58 millimeters. The coin was designed and engraved by Dora de Pedri Hunt and Augo Arand for the obverse, and Ronald Lambert and Sheldon Beveridge for the reverse of the coin. The edge is reeded, it is magnetic. The standard die axis for Canadian coins is usually in metal alignment, but there are actually two different rotated die variations for the 1992 New Brunswick. There is one with a 90-degree shift rotated die, and there is also one in coin alignment. So what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll give you guys the details and the low end values of all of these coins, and then I will tell you guys the values of these pieces if you were to find one and it scores in the MS range. So if you were to find a New Brunswick 1992 provincial quarter and it is in coin alignment, which means it is rotated 180 degrees, it can be worth around $50 for an AU50. Now, the New Brunswick with a 90-degree rotation is not actually listed for values on the low end, but I would estimate that you can get at least as much as the coin alignment, if not a little bit more, because it is pretty valuable in the MS region. Now, next up is the 1992 Northwest Territories. The specifications for the 1992 Provincial Northwest Territories quarter is composed of 100% nickel. It has a weight of 5.05 grams, a diameter of 23.88 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.58 millimeters. The Northwest Territories Provincial Quarter was designed by Dora DePadre Hunt and Ago Aran for the obverse, and Beth McKeechan, Ago Aran, and C. Safiotti for the reverse of the coin. The edge is reeded, it is magnetic, and the standard die axis should be in metal alignment. Now, the rotation that you are looking for the Northwest Territories is a 90-degree rotation. If you can identify this, on the low end, it can be worth around $120 for an EF40 and all the way up to $122 for an AU50. Now, the last of these 1992 provincial rotated die quarters that you can look for is the Saskatchewan. The specifications for the standard issue Saskatchewan quarter is composed of 100% nickel, has a weight of 5.05 grams, a diameter of 23.88 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.58 millimeters. It was designed and engraved by Dora DePadre Hunt and Ago Aran for the obverse, and Brian E. Cobb and Terry Smith for the reverse. The reason that I wanted to give you guys the specifications on all of these quarters is because there are actually different artists that featured their designs on the reverses of these coins, and I wanted to give credit where credit is due. Now, the edge of the 1992 Saskatchewan is reeded, it is magnetic, and it has a standard die axis in metal alignment, but the orientation that you are going to be looking for to identify this holy grail piece is in coin alignment. Now, there are only 3 known examples of the Saskatchewan in coin alignment currently, but that doesn't mean that one can't still be discovered. They actually don't even list low-end values for this coin because there isn't one that is in such a low grade that it is actually worth listing on their site. But I would estimate that you could get anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,000 even for a super low grade example at the bottom of the Sheldon scale. Because there are only 3 known examples, this would be considered a holy grail piece and definitely a good one to keep your eyes out for. Now, in terms of the high-end values, the 1992 New Brunswick in coin alignment can be worth around $550 for an MS66 example, which is currently the highest graded known example. Now, the New Brunswick with a 90-degree rotation can be worth up to $228 for an MS65 example. For the Northwest Territories, you are looking for a 90-degree rotation, and it can be worth up to $348 for an MS65 example. If it did score any higher, you can be sure to see a bit of a price jump. You could easily be talking a $500 to $1,000 coin if it scored around an MS67. And last but not least, we have the holy grail of the bunch, the Saskatchewan in coin alignment. Now, there are only 3 known examples, and they only give one price estimate on coins in Canada, and that is currently $5,600 for an MS62 example. So if you were to find one of these and it scored any higher, around an MS65 to MS67, you could easily be talking a $10,000 to $20,000 coin. They put out a lot of these provincial quarters. I've encountered rolls and rolls and rolls of them in my coin roll hunt, so these are definitely some good pieces to keep your eyes out for. The transition of Canadian quarters from nickel alloy to multiply plated steel in the years 1999 and 2000 was a significant change in the production of Canada's circulating coinage. The switch was primarily driven by cost savings and the need for more durable coins. I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown of this process so you can understand how this Holy Grail 2000p Caribou quarter came into existence. There were several reasons and motivations for the Canadian Mint switching from the nickel alloy to the multiply plated steel. The first was cost savings. The Canadian Mint sought ways to reduce the production cost of coinage. Nickel, which had traditionally been a key component of Canadian coins, was becoming increasingly expensive. Also, durability. There was a strong desire to produce more durable coins. Canadian coins, especially the smaller denominations, were susceptible to wear and tear due to their softer nickel composition. Research and development. Prior to the transition, the Canadian Mint conducted extensive research and development to identify alternative materials that would meet the criteria of cost effectiveness and durability. The choice of multiply plated steel was a result of this research. The material offered a combination of durability and cost savings. Multiply plated steel is a composite material composed of several layers. The outer layers are typically made of steel, which is a hard and durable metal. The steel layers are then plated with a thin layer of other metals such as nickel or copper to provide the coins with their desired appearance and properties. These coins then go through design and testing phases. The new quarters were designed to look similar to the old nickel alloy quarters to ensure easy recognition and acceptance by the public. Extensive testing was conducted to ensure that the multiply plated steel quarters met the required quality and durability standards. These included tests for wear resistance, corrosion resistance, and overall coin longevity. The transition from nickel alloy to multiply plated steel coinage took place over a period of several years. New dies and machinery were put into place to accommodate this new coin material. The existing nickel alloy quarters remain in circulation and can still be found in your pocket change to this day. The minting process for multiply plated steel coinage is similar to that of traditional coin production, involving blanking and nailing, upsetting, striking, and inspection. However, the materials used in the blanks are different, with the new multiply plated steel blanks replacing the old traditional nickel alloy blanks. The Canadian Mint worked diligently to ensure that the public was aware of the change in coin material. They also coordinated with banks and financial institutions and vending machine companies to ensure a smooth transition and exchange of old nickel alloy quarters for the new multiply plated steel ones. This switch to multiply plated coinage was successful and reduced production costs for the Canadian Mint. It did also result in more durable coins that were better equipped to withstand the wear and tear of circulation. The transition did not significantly impact the appearance or functionality of the coins, so it was generally well received by the public. Now, the existence of this incredibly rare 2000p caribou quarter in Canada is indeed an intriguing numismatic mystery. While the Canadian Mint switched from the nickel alloy to multiply plated steel quarters between the years 1999 and 2000, the accidental release of only a few 2000p caribou quarters featuring a P mint mark on the obverse under the Queen's bust to indicate that it was composed of multiply plated steel still remains a puzzling anomaly to this day. Now, here's an explanation of how a few examples of this coin may have made their way into circulation. It could have been an accidental die mix-up. The most plausible explanation for the existence of these 2000p caribou quarters is that there was an accidental mix-up of the coin dies during the minting process. Die mix-ups can occur in a minting facility where the wrong set of dies is used to strike a batch of coins. In this case, it would have involved the use of dies meant for 1999 or 2001p quarters instead of the correct 2000 dies. Now, each coin die has a different year assigned to it and are prepared and stored separately in the minting facility. Each die has specific designs for each year and denomination, including the image of Queen Elizabeth II for the obverse and usually the caribou design for the reverse. Due to this mix-up, a small batch of the 2000 caribou quarters would have been struck with the incorrect 1999 test token dies or the future 2001p dies that they were planning on using the following year, which featured the caribou design on the reverse. The rest of the 2000 quarters would have been struck using the correct 2000 dies. Quality control procedures in minting facilities are designed to catch errors, but they are not foolproof. In this case, an oversight likely occurred during the quality control checks. Some of the coins produced with the incorrect dies may have passed inspection due to the similarities in size and composition to the regular quarters. After minting, the coins are typically transported to financial institutions for distribution. If any of the 2000p caribou quarters pass quality control checks, they would have entered the regular circulation stream like any other quarter. Now, another large possibility is that some of these quarters may have made their way into pocket change or circulation from being issued to vending machine companies. To ensure a smooth transition and to avoid disruptions in vending machines and coin-operated devices that accept quarters, the Canadian Mint needed to guarantee that the new multiply plated coinage would be compatible with these machines. To test the compatibility of the new quarters with vending machines, the Canadian Mint produced a batch of test coins or test tokens with the new composition. These test coins were initially struck with the same design as regular quarters to resemble the appearance of circulating currency. Eventually, the Canadian Mint distributed these coins to vending machine manufacturers and companies that operated vending machines across Canada. The companies used these test coins or tokens to calibrate their vending machines and ensure that they would accept the new quarters without issue. So it is definitely possible that some of the 2000p caribou quarters could have made their way into the hands of vending machine companies who could have then held onto them or then passed them down to relatives. Now that you guys have some information on how this coin came into existence, to identify it, basically it looks the same as just about any other regular Canadian quarter. It has the caribou on the reverse, but if you flip it over to the obverse, you want to look for a little P mark or mint mark under the Queen's bust to indicate that it is made of multiply plated steel. If you can find this mint mark on a 2000 reverse Canadian quarter, then you have yourself a holy grail coin. Now, from the information that I came across, currently there are only 2 known examples of the 2000p Caribou quarter, and you can get around $36,300 for an MS65 example. So if you did find one of these and it was all beat up, worn, and been through the meat grinder, so even at the very bottom of the Sheldon scale, you can still expect to get a couple $100 or maybe even a couple $1,000 for this coin, because it is so rare and there are so few of them that exist. And even though it may seem highly unlikely that you could ever stumble across one of these coins, crazier things have happened. I have met coin roll hunters that have had some crazy finds. I'm talking entire boxes of silver quarters and even better. So always keep your eyes open, because you never know what you can find in your pocket change. The design of the caribou on the 25-cent coins dates back to 1936, when the Canadian government changed the designs on the reverse side of coins in response to a change in the sovereign's appearance on circulation coinage. Emmanuel Hahn, a Canadian artist, created the caribou pattern, which was first used in the year 1937. It was briefly substituted in certain years, including 1967 for the 100th anniversary of Canada, where the reverse of the coin featured a Canada lynx or bobcat, and also in 1973 for the 100th anniversary of the Northwest Mounted Police, which featured an RCMP officer on a horse for the reverse, 1992 for Canada's 125th anniversary, and also in the years 1999 and 2000 for the Millennium coin program's winning designs. When the Mint issued the 12 commemorative coins in the year 1992 to mark the 125th anniversary of the Confederation, there was one design for each province and territory that had existed in Canada at that time. These actually served as the basis for the 1999 to 2008 US 50-state quarters initiative. Each quarter featured a different image on the reverse, which featured a unique design representing each province or territory. Now let's briefly discuss mule coins. A mule coin is not some exotic coin from a faraway nation. Rather, it is a coin that has a peculiar minting fault that makes it extremely unique. Imagine holding a coin that on the face looks to be of one given denomination, but then when you turn it over, the message is entirely different on the other side. It's similar to having a coin that actually serves 2 purposes. These coins are the result of a mix-up where mismatched dies were used to strike the coin. The term mule actually refers to the fact that these coins are hybrids, like a mule or donkey, combining elements from 2 different coin designs. It's as if the minting process took an unexpected turn, creating an incredible numismatic oddity. One of the most famous examples of Canadian mule coins comes from the Canadian Paralympic series, where the wheelchair curling coin is muled with the obverse of regular Olympic issue quarters. Instead of having the Paralympic privy, the wheelchair curling coin will have the Olympic privy on the obverse of the coin. This unique combination of designs adds a level of intrigue and collectability to these mule coins. And usually whenever there are unexpected twists in the minting process, it will create a fascinating numismatic anomaly that will attract both coin enthusiasts and collectors alike. Now, even though the wheelchair curling mule is an incredibly rare quarter that can be worth some decent money today, we are actually here to discuss the 1993 mule. Now, to understand how this coin came into existence, we first have to go back into the year 1991. There was actually a strike at the Canadian Mint, and as I previously mentioned, they had a shortage of supplies. The following year, there was a high demand for coin production to make up for the previous time lost. Tasked with the issuance and release of 12 different designs for the 1992 Provincial series, the Canadian Mint was most likely overburdened, and there were several notable errors and variations that you can look for in this date range. But due to all this commotion, it would seem that a few 1993 Canadian quarter reverse pieces were accidentally paired with the obverse dies from the previous year. So to identify the 1993 mule, it is actually pretty simple because it will have the date 1993 and the caribou design on the reverse side of the coin, and it will have the diadem portrait of Queen Elizabeth on the obverse, as well as the double date of 1867 to 1992 underneath her bust or portrait. This is the result of a mix-up where one of the employees most likely forgot to take one of the dies out of the presses from the previous year or run. Either way, this quality control mix-up has opened up the coin heavens and rained down a nice holy grail piece for us to look for. Now, some of the details and specifications for this coin, if any of them are off, it may indicate that the coin is not legitimate or authentic. 1993 quarters are composed of 100% nickel. They have a weight of 5.05 grams, a diameter of 23.88 millimeters. They have a thickness of 1.58 millimeters. The coins were designed and engraved by Dora de Pedri Hahn and Ago Aran for the obverse and Emmanuel Hahn for the reverse. The edge of the coin is reeded, it is magnetic, and it has a die-axis and metal alignment, as is the standard for most Canadian coins. Now, something important to note is if you were to discover a 1993 Canadian Mule Quarter, it would most likely be out of a proof set from the year 1993. If you do send one of these away to be graded, it will get the PL attribution, meaning that most of these 1993 mules, if not all of them, are probably coming out of 1993 proof sets, but that doesn't mean that you have a 0% chance of finding one of them in the wild. Some of them may have made their way out into circulation. You never know with a coin like this, especially when it is a mule and an heir like the 1993 mule. Now, if you were to send one of these away to be graded by PCGS, it would get a PL attribution, not the MS or not the SP. In terms of value, it is actually extremely rare and valuable. If you're able to cherry pick these out of a proof set, you can make a massive profit, even if you pay $30 or $40 for the set, because this coin can actually be worth around $21,000 for a PL65 and all the way up to $26,000 for a PL66, which, as we know right now, is currently the highest graded known example. So this is a Canadian coin that is pushing the $30,000 mark, and the great thing about it is it is fairly modern. A lot of the time when it comes to Canadian proof sets, people like to cherry pick out the 1991 and 1992 sets. In the year 1992, they actually released a special issue Caribou Quarter with the double date 1867 to 1992 on the reverse of the coin, and you can only get those quarters out of proof sets. So a lot of the time people like to buy the proof sets so they can get that special Caribou Quarter. So most likely these 1993 sets probably fly under the radar, and you might be able to get a good deal on one. And if you can actually look at the set before you buy it, you might be able to open it up and take a look at the quarter. And if the quarter has the 1993 Caribou reverse, and then it has the double date of 1867 to 1992 on the reverse under the Queen's bust, then you have yourself a holy grail coin. Since the year 2000, all of Canada's circulation coins have been produced using the Mint's patented multiply plated steel technology, except for the $1 and $2 circulation coins, which started using this technology as of April 10th, 2012. Before the start of the new millennium began and fears of computer clocks all resetting to zero and Y2K, the Canadian Mint held a contest to design 24 millennium quarters, one for each month of 1999 and 2000. The contest was announced by the Mint in April 1998, and it was open to all Canadians. The 1999 designs were intended to reflect on Canada's past, whereas the 2000 designs were meant to reflect on Canada's future. The relevant theme was listed on the 2000 coins, while the month of issue was listed on the 1999 coins. The contest received an overwhelming response, with thousands of Canadians submitting their designs. The chosen designs for each month showcased a diverse range of Canadian history and culture, making the Millennium Quarters a unique and cherished collection for coin enthusiasts. These coins and sets were produced in such massive quantities that most of the coins in the series aren't worth much above face value. But there are a few little known varieties for the 2000 Millennium Quarters that are extremely rare and valuable. The Canadian Mint patented multiply plating technology in the year 2000 as an improved cost-effective production technique. The 5, 10, 25, and 50 cent pieces of Canadian circulation coinage, all of which were previously struck from nearly pure nickel alloys, have been produced by the Mint since that year using this technique. Similar to the 5-cent coin, production of the 1-cent coin ended in the year 2012, and a copper-plated steel blank was used instead. Multiply plating for the $1 and $2 coins was introduced in the year 2012. In this particular plating method, a thin layer of nickel, a layer of copper, and then a final layer of nickel are electromagnetically applied to a steel core. Because less copper and nickel are required in this process, the price of producing circulation coins has decreased. Because plated coins are made of a more resilient material, there are fewer damaged coins in circulation, improving their overall effectiveness. The Mint can produce coins with distinctive electromagnetic signatures and the safest circulation coins on the market by varying the bust on the obverse of the coin. The first waves of Canadian plated coins with a P Mint mark were given to vending machine companies to test their ability to work in their machines or to see if the coin mechanisms would have to be refitted to accommodate the change. In most cases, the machines accepted the new plated quarters without much difficulty. A limited mint set was also released in the year 1999 with coins of every denomination and also a test token, all containing the new P mint mark. In the year 2000, 2000 P nickels and pennies were released for circulation, most likely as a trial for the larger denominations, which were officially released for circulation the following year in 2001. So you may be asking, what does all of this have to do with the coins that we are discussing today? Well, the first thing that I can tell you is that any dime or quarter that you find coin roll hunting or in your pocket change with a P mint mark from the year 2000 or 1999 should definitely not be there. And if you find one of the creativity or community quarters from the 2000 Millennium series, then you have what would be classed as a holy grail coin. Whether a test, trial, pattern, or employee mistake, there are a few of these quarters that have been known to have a small P mint mark on the obverse of the coin. It can almost be hard to believe that something so small could add such a significant value to a piece, but if you understood how incredibly rare these quarters are, then you might have more of an idea of where the value comes from. There are only 5 certified examples of the 2000p Community Millennium Quarter, and the Creativity 2000p has even fewer with only 2 known examples. Although these may be scarce, they are fairly modern, and it is unknown exactly how many of these Holy Grail coins made it into circulation, but it's definitely a good idea to check all of your creativity and community quarters for that P mint mark, because you never know when you might hit a gold mine. All of that being said, what do you say we discuss the potential value for these coins if you were ever to find a legitimate example? Now, the first quarter that we will cover is the 2000 Creativity with the P mint mark. Now, to identify this, you need to flip over to the obverse of the coin and look for a little P mint mark under the bust of Queen Elizabeth. If you can identify this and it is the Creativity design on the reverse of the coin, then you have one extremely rare quarter that can be worth all the way up to $10,000 for an MS65 example. Now, this is the rarer of the two. There are less known to exist, and currently MS65 is the highest known grade. If you were able to find one of these and it scored any higher, somewhere around an MS67, it could easily be worth $40,000. You usually see some massive price jumps when it comes to these extremely rare Holy Grail coins that only a few known examples exist for, and this 2000 October Creativity P mint mark quarter is definitely a good one to have on your radar. And then next up is the 2000 December, which has the community design on the reverse of the coin, and it will also have a small P mint mark on the obverse under Queen Elizabeth's bust. Now, this is actually the more common of these two quarters. There are 5 known examples. I wouldn't call that common at all, because when there are so few examples of a coin that exists, it will bring a huge premium, and this one definitely has some extreme value that comes along with it, because this one can be worth around $9,800 for an MS60, $15,000 for an MS65, and that is currently the highest known graded example. But this bad boy could easily be worth up to $50,000 for an MS67 if you were to find one and it scored that high. These are fairly modern recent quarters, and I have found many Millennium quarters that are in good condition, and if you were to find one that had the P mint mark, it would mean that it is plated, and usually those coins will hold up a lot better to circulation and wear, so hopefully it would score a high grade. So definitely keep an eye out for any quarters or dimes from the year 1999 or the year 2000 that have a P mint mark. The Canadian nickel from the year 2000 was put out for circulation, but it does have a fairly low mintage, even for Canadian standards. If this was an American coin, you can be sure that they would be pulling these things out of circulation religiously. There are very few American coins that are released that have a low mintage figure of 5 million, so the 2000p nickel is also a good one to look for, but not nearly as valuable and rare as these Holy Grail 2000p Community and Creativity Millennium quarters. The reverse of the coin was designed by Walter Ott, an Austrian-trained master engraver, artist, and designer who worked at the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa. The design shows a constable holding a bamboo-shafted lance carried by members of the RCMP on horseback. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police's horse breeding program began in 1939. In 1973, 134,958,587 quarters were produced for circulation, and proof and specimen coins were also made. The design was changed up from a caribou to the Mountie design, and the obverse die was retooled to ensure proper metal flow The size of Queen Elizabeth II's obverse portrait was reduced to achieve fine details on the reverse, and the ornamental beading on the obverse was also modified. Virtually all of the 1973 RCMP Centennial Canadian quarters were struck with the smaller busts on the obverse, but a small amount of the coins were produced with the obverse of 1972, creating the two varieties of the small and large bust. The amount of coins with the large bust does not exceed 10,000 according to the Charlton and PCGS guides and website. When the dies were retooled in 1973, it resulted in a smaller portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse of the coin, with greater refinement to her hair detail. Another way to differentiate between the large and small bust quarter is by the placement of the beads and the top of the letter A in Regina. The large bust quarter has beads that sit close to the rim, and the top of the A points directly to a bead, while the small bust quarter has beads set farther from the rim, and the top of the A points at a spot between two beads. The size of the bust and position of the head on the coin are extremely important details. On the large bust, the beads will appear to touch the rim of the coin, while there is space between the beads and the rim on the small bust quarter. If you're still unsure, one of the best ways is actually to compare it to a 1972 25-cent coin, which will have the large bust and bead arrangement as if it were the 1973 large bust. Now we'll get into the specifications and value of the 1973 Mountie quarters. They are composed of nickel. The monarch on the obverse of the coin is Queen Elizabeth II. It has a weight of 5.1 grams. They have a diameter of 23.8 millimeters, a thickness of 1.6 millimeters. The coin is in metal alignment, as most Canadian coins are, and the edge of the coin is reeded. Now, the Canadian 1973 Mountie quarter comes in all three of the different Canadian finishes that were offered at that time. It comes in a business strike, which will get an MS designation. It comes in a proof strike, which will get the PL designation, and also a specimen, which will get the SP. Now, depending on the finish of the coin, it will heavily affect the value. The business strike is the most valuable of the bunch, but the other ones are quite valuable as well, and it's definitely a good idea to keep your eye open, especially at flea markets and if you're buying coins in an estate sale or maybe in a lot on eBay. So in terms of value, the 1973 small bust business strike is worth around $1 for an MS60, and it can actually be worth all the way up to $61 for an MS65. Now that is for the small bust quarter. Now the 1973 large bust is worth $346 for an MS60 example, and it can be worth all the way up to $3,240 for an MS65. That is buku, insane amounts of money. Now in my coin roll hunts, I have found thousands and thousands of the 1973 Mountie quarters. I still personally have not found any of the large busts. I have known people that have found the large bust before. If you were to find one of these in a high mint state, you can make some really good money off of it. And chances are, if you do find one of these coin roll hunting, it is probably going to be the business strike. Now let's get into the proof strikes. The 1973 proof strike is only worth around $1 in a PL64. It can be worth up to $39.20 for a PL67. The 1973 large bust proof strike can be worth around $177 for a PL63 and all the way up to $677 for a PL67. So even if you were able to identify a set that contains the 1973 large bust quarter and you pay like $100 for it, if it's in decent shape, you can send it off to be graded by a company like PCGS, NGC, maybe ICCS, and make quite a return on the coin. Now lastly, we will discuss the specimen finishes for these coins. First, the 1973 small bust. It's worth around $1.94 for a specimen 66, and it can be worth all the way up to $14.70 for a specimen 67. The 1973 large bust specimen can be worth around $173 for an SP64 and all the way up to $539 for an MS67. Now, I've actually owned 1973 specimen sets. You can usually pick them up from your local coin shops for a pretty decent price. I'm guessing that they have probably done their due diligence and checked for the large bust already. So your best chance of finding sets that may contain the large bust quarter are probably in flea markets, estate sales, or maybe in a lot on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Now, 1968 was the last year for silver circulation coins in Canada, but about half of the 1968 dimes and quarters were made out of the new intended metal nickel. All of the 1967 Bobcat or Lynx quarters were produced in silver, but unknown to some, there is an extremely rare Holy Grail variety of these coins that can be worth insane money. Some of the 1967 Bobcat quarters were accidentally struck with nickel planchettes. It is unclear how many, but it is estimated that there are only 5 to 10 of these coins still in existence. One of these coins, which was certified by PCGS with a grade of Specimen 64, was sold by Heritage Auctions in 2019. This may be the only certified example of this coin. Being able to tell the difference between the silver and nickel Bobcat should be pretty easy, as the nickel planchette would be magnetic and the silver would not. There are not any notable varieties for the 1967 coins, but if you guys are familiar at all with the 1967 rabbit nickel or the 1967 goose dollar, there are a few notable varieties for those, mostly rotated die varieties, and also sometimes they can have machine doubling, most notably on the 1967 pennies. So I would always keep my eye open for errors on the 1967 coins. They produced a lot of them and they had to pump them out in a short amount of time. So the specifications for the regular 1967 Canadian quarter, if any of these are off, it might indicate that you have the nickel planchette as well. Now the alloy is supposed to be 80% silver and 20% copper, or it can come in a 50% silver or 50% copper composition. The weight is 5.83 grams. It has a diameter of 23.88 millimeters. The edge is reeded. It is non-magnetic and it has a die axis in metal alignment. Now, what do you say we get into the values for the 1967 nickel planchette Holy Grail quarter? I'm sure you are all curious. Now, just to give you guys an idea, of a regular 1967 Bobcat is worth about $350 in a low MS grade, not worth much more than melt or scrap, but it can be worth all the way up to $77 for an MS65. If you were to get a cameo designation, it may add a premium as well. Canadian 1967 coins were also released in proof-like and specimen sets, and the Canadian nickel planchette Bobcat quarter actually has a specimen designation, meaning that most of them were probably pulled out of specimen sets. Most of the Canadian specimen coins and sets produced before the year 1970 are extremely rare and valuable, but Canadian 1967 specimen sets are not quite as rare as the other ones produced before the year 1970. The pro is they did come with a gold coin, and if you purchased it back in the day, it was not a whole lot of money to buy the set and you would have made a huge profit. But if you want to buy the set with the gold coin, you're looking at least $1,500 to $2,000, especially if you are actually paying gold value for the coin itself. But the other commemorative coins inside of the set are not that rare. The only way the other coins in the 1967 specimen sets can have an extreme premium is if they come with a very nice cameo on them. But a lot of the times the coins were toned in an undesirable way, which takes some of the value away from them. But just to give you guys an idea, the 1967 Canadian proof-like Bobcat quarter, the proof-like sets are very common as well. Usually you can pick those up for pretty close to spot price, but it's worth around $6.60 for a proof-like 63 example, so not worth much more than melt, and it's worth around $44.10 for a proof-like 66 example. And then we have the regular specimen 1967. Now this is worth around $8 for an MS63. It can be worth all the way up to $47 in the high SP range, and it is not super valuable. If it gets that cameo attribution, it might add a slight premium, but they are not super rare for the proof-like and specimen 1967 Bobcat quarters. But last but not least, we have the extremely rare Holy Grail 1967 Bobcat quarter struck on a nickel planchette. Now the only example we know that is graded currently is an SP64, and it sold for $3,800 US in 2019 in Heritage Auctions. That is some crazy buku money, and it is a good variety to look for. Even though they're in specimen sets, you never know if one of these maybe made their way into circulation. And if you are an avid collector and you like to visit coin shops or flea markets, definitely keep your eyes out for 1967 specimen sets, and you can probably tell the Bobcat quarter apart from the others because the others will be in silver composition. And I'm sure the Bobcat quarter will look a lot more dull